Welcome to the Off Tackle with John Fina show on the Overreaction Sports Network. Well, what is going on, everybody? Welcome everybody into the Off Tackle with John Fina show on the Overreaction Sports Network, powered by Believe. You know, John, it's the end of the season, and I think I finally got that down. It like comes out smooth without. It's so smooth that I don't even think about it. And today on the aftermath, I got about 5 minutes into the show, and I was like, did I open the show by saying that this is the Overreaction Sports Network powered by Believe? And it distracted me for like 5 minutes until I could finally just let it go and be like, I'll find out when it's over. I don't even know.
Just say it again, man. And by the way, better late than never, right?
Right. So good to have every single one of you guys joining us. My name is Joe Miller. You can find me on Twitter at Joe Miller Wired. There's my co-host, John Fina. You can find him on Twitter at John Fina. Former Buffalo Bills offensive tackle for 10 years. Former first-round pick, all-around nice guy, and we found out this week from Joe Marino, one of the you've got one of the highest games. I don't know how to say this. One of the highest games played as a member of the Buffalo Bills that are out there, right? What was it? 161? Is that how many games it was?
148, and a Michael Jordan on the list.
Yeah. 148 games played, and professional games played with the Buffalo Bills. Jerry Ostrowski was also on that list, which is awesome.
Well, no, the Michael Jordan reference, I was number 23.
Oh, number 23. Gotcha. Yeah, gotcha. So 23rd most games played in a Buffalo Bills uniform, which is absolutely incredible. Congrats on that. Please do us a favor. Please like, please subscribe, whatever platform you are listening to this podcast on, please, or vidcast, please do us a favor. Please hit the like button. Please subscribe, hit that notifications button. And if you're listening in podcast form in post, please like and subscribe there. And as John always says, tell a friend. Actually, do that right now. Text somebody right now the link to this show and say, hey, come jump into YouTube on the comments section with all of us that are here. Daniel, Scott Blakely, Jason Fancher, everybody that's there, Richard Rush, Robbie's there. Jump in and join us. We'd love to have you. But John, we are more than 24 hours, 28 hours away from this football game being played yesterday. The defense looked great. The offense looked great. Everything looked great. Pretty much what you want going into a rest week, yes?
Very much so. The kicking game, which you left out, actually, did kicking game stuff other than disappoint. So that was awesome to see. I think the defense, by virtue of the takeaways, did great. In the first half, it was, a lot of yardage gain, but they stiffen up like we've always talked about, between the 25s. And hey, it's working. And I don't want to go too deep criticizing the defense.
I don't think we could criticize the defense for this football game, right? I mean, they did what they're supposed to do. So they got a 4 and out. They got a turnover on downs at one point. They got a key turnover. They got a safety, and the game was over once that safety happened. When they went to 9-0, the Jets didn't lay down, but the Bills really had their number at that point in time. The defense, as much as they've been, I talked about it today on the aftermath. They've had some troubles in the last 4, 5, 6 games. They really showed up and played well. The one that impresses me the most is Cole Bishop. Like, Cole Bishop is getting a lot of reps, and you're beginning to see him, I feel like, get settled in that role as a safety. Do you agree?
No, I completely agree. And that role it's strange. It's different than playing in the front seven, because everything in the front seven is relational to something that's, 24 inches from you. I'm a tackle. I see my guard. Everybody's lined up. When you're playing in space like a free or a strong safety, you got nothing but field around you. So you're checking hash marks, you're checking depth. If I'm in too high, if I'm in man free, one over the top, you really have to be aware of what's the play set. Okay, now what motion comes off of that? Do I need to be drift and tighten, or am I flexing and going softer? So, for a young kid, and the amount of formations that you see and the amount of movement, and then you add the ability of NFL wide receivers,
right?
I mean, it's exponentially more difficult. And what we've shown on this show in the past is, 6-inch misstep and you're out of the play. You're exposed.
Yeah, and we're going to get into some of the plays that you're going to break down for us. Before we do that, The Buffalo Bills traditionally have had trouble as of late, the last several years, against the Jets, primarily in their own division. They're the one team that we would typically split if we didn't sweep. And a lot of times that comes down to trench play. Their defensive line has always been stout with Quinnen Williams and some other players like that. CJ Mosley, obviously, which I don't think CJ Mosley played in this game. At least I don't remember his name being called. And there was the majority of this game yesterday, the Bills were winning in the trenches. But there was a moment in the middle of the game and probably a little earlier where the Jets were kind of having their way. How do you, from an offensive lineman standpoint, what happens in that moment when you're getting beat a little bit and then you're able to overcome? Is it a simple adjustment? Is it a talk from the coach? Because we always see the coaches go over, right, and have a conversation. And this is what I need for you, blah, 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 the do your job part. So what happens in that moment on the sideline where it's like, okay, we can take these guys. We just got to get our together.
As a defender or as an offensive lineman?
Both, but as an offensive lineman primarily.
So I think initially in the first quarter of a game, everybody is analyzing, are they doing what we expected them to do, right? So we know between the 30s, if it's 1st and 10, anywhere in that space, what do they run 88% of the time or 85% of the time, and what variations make up the last 15 to 20%.
Right.
And sometimes they come out, oh, hey, they're doing something a little different. So it can take up to a quarter to really assess, are they following the game plan we expected or not? And then there are other times when, honestly, I'd love to say it was strategy, philosophy, execution, but there's a certain amount of luck involved. And it's a misstep by the defender where you get a little bit more of an angle, and then Thurman Thomas turns a 3-yard run into a 7-yard run.
Right.
And, only 4 yards difference doesn't mean a lot until you're a player and you realize now you're in 2nd and 3 rather than 2nd and 6 or 2nd and 7. And that in today's game is incredible. When you are in 2nd and long, your job across the board from the play caller down to the quarterbacking and the execution is so much more difficult.
Gotcha. Very cool. Well, let's do this. Why don't you jump right on in, as we want to be. Oh, we got a super chat. Just as I say that.
Hey, Scott Blakely with a super chat.
Super chat comes in. As you said, why don't you go ahead and read that?
Joe. He spelled John wrong. Your podcast is awesome. John and Big O bring the real life perspective. No one offers what you do, and thank you. Yeah. Scott Blakely, you bring a tear to my eye. Thanks so much for the super chat. Really appreciate it. I actually dedicate quite a bit of time to this. As you know, Joe, with 14 shows a week, spends a lot of time on this, and we do it from really the love in our heart for our beloved Buffalo Bills, and really appreciate you chiming in, Scott. Thank you.
Yeah, this year has been somewhat experimental. As much as the three of us jumped in full bore and we kind of had this plan kind of going into late last year, and then everything happened that happened, we were like, let's give it 1 year and see where it goes. The fact that you guys listen, the fact that you're dedicated to tuning in, not only every week, but to almost every show, if not every show. I know that there's favorites as far as that goes, like this is my favorite show or that's my favorite show. By and large, we're doing the best we can to bring solid, good, positive, but critical when needed content. Would you agree with that, Jerry? Positive, but critical where needed.
I'll have to ask Jerry, but I'm John.
Oh, sorry, John, my bad. John, do you agree with that?
I do. And I make no bones about it. I'm fanboy. I love my team. I'm always going to try to be fair, honest. And when I'm critical, I try to be gentle unless I really have to be critical.
I'm going to say it took me to week 18 to call you Jerry. So for being honest, and I don't think I've called Jerry John yet, but I also want to do a show. Well, I guess I do one every week.
We look alike.
But yeah, exactly. But yeah, thank you, Scott, so much for the super chat. We very much appreciate you. But with that, John, why don't you go ahead and bring in our first clip.
All right, little background first. Everybody knows I'm not shy about criticizing receivers on their downfield blocks on either run or screen. So I feel like I owe it to them when they do a pretty good job. This play is 1st and 10 on the first drive, and it's more or less a bubble screen. I'll run it for you. Joe, I hope you muted this. The dog was barking earlier today.
I did.
Little pitch and catch. But mind you, look at the edge blocking by Keon Coleman and Khalil Shakir. They double up on a guy and just drive him 3 or 4 yards. Kincaid makes one miss, and we turn what could be 3 or 4 yard gain into an 11-yard gain. Keeps the drive going. And, of course, that was our first drive of the game, Joe. and it ended in a touchdown, which I know you love. And I'm going to pause it right here. So this is kind of cool. They bring Kincaid from a wing position and they float him out backwards and lateral. And you see you see Khalil Shakir and Keon Coleman in a really great position right now with leverage on the defender. And then the rest of the defenders have to give chase.
Yeah, I don't have anything to add. To me, it's just a thing of beauty the way they double teamed that corner that's out there. You got 72 in chase, right, trying to catch the play, which Kincaid smartly goes outside, and then from there it just turns into a clogged mess, and Kincaid just has to make one guy miss.
Make one guy miss. BYOB, bring your own blocker. And I'll tell you another thing that strikes me about this type of play, and I'm going to bring it up later, so I might burst my own bubble a little bit here. But this is 1st and 10. And although we're in a fairly compact formation, the Jets are thinking run. There is no two ways about it. The success that our trio of running backs has had recently, their first instinct is run. And as we all talk about, this is a de facto run, but this is also a wrinkle. We have never done this, to my knowledge, where we float a guy out from the wing position to catch the ball. So great wrinkle. And again, I criticize wide receivers for their blocking all the time. This was a terrific job.
So when you see this play, we're at the point of the year where, specifically with this game, knowing going into week 18, they're probably not going to have to, week 17, week 18, knowing they're not going to have to necessarily sit or play starters. Are they adding this play in for a reason? Are they going to build off this potentially in the playoffs?
I think Joe Brady, Josh Allen, the rest of the guys that are conceiving of all of this probably have a file folder of, plays that other teams are running, things that they draw up. But again, your practice is a limited amount of time. So they'll probably install 2 or 3 plays a week and try to get 2 or 3 reps with them if they can get that many. And they'll say, all right, this just isn't timing up right, or we don't think this works against this defense. This one looks best. This one feels best. Let's run it out there and see how it does. This is a great wrinkle. I mean, what really makes this play happen is the defensive alignment. I mean, everybody near the hash mark at the top of the screen, they're begging to get out leveraged.
Awesome. Good stuff.
All right, let's move on. Play number 2. I brought this up on the show last night, Joe. I'm sorry you couldn't join us. I know you had family obligations, but Jerry and I were talking about Epenesa's safety in the end zone.
Yeah.
It was such a great play. And Jerry and I were kind of getting a little bit, wonky or, deep into O-line talk. And I said, hey, I think they got sugared. And we tried to explain what does sugared mean. And I don't think it came across. So I felt like the viewers that were with us last night would probably want to see what I mean by sugared. And I'm just going to pop this up here. We're going to run it real quick. I'd like to give you that chance to just feel it. There comes Epinesa off the edge. And Rodgers down. Safety. Let's run it one more time. But
Happened a little fast.
This time before I run it, I want you to keep your eyes on the left guard and the A gaps. Milano and Terrell Bernard are in the A gaps.
Okay, got it. Yep.
And what do they do on the snap? They bail. Okay. So this gets a little bit deep into O-line philosophy here. But as you're setting the protection, you realize there's 2 defensive ends outside the tackles. Both defensive tackles are in wide 3s. So either the quarterback or the center is saying, hey, we're going to block to our left or we're going to block to our right. The running back typically picks up the side opposite. So as we look at this, the center is going to go to his right toward Matt Milano. The guard and the left tackle are 2 guys to block 3. Right? Everybody knows that kind of math does not work.
So
but
the ends are in a wide 9 here, correct?
Yeah. They're in a 9.
Gotcha.
I just call them, they're way out in space.
Right.
Wide 7, wide 9. So between the left guard and the left tackle, they got to block Milano, Ed Oliver, and Epinesa. So you can only block 2. And the rules state block from the inside out. You always want to block from the inside out. Nobody in the quarterback's face. So this is called sugaring. When the linebackers are inside the feet of the defensive tackles. All right. So now I have to treat that guy as a left guard. I have to treat Terrell Bernard as a defensive tackle. He's a threat. So on the snap of the ball, we have to read our way out as offensive linemen. So the guard actually does a really good job here. I'll try to freeze it, but he glances at Bernard before he continues on his set. But the guy that really blows this is the left tackle, because what he should be doing is he should be taking a vertical set, getting depth, but also squeezing at the same time in the event that he has to end up blocking Ed Oliver if Bernard comes. What happens? Bernard bails, Oliver comes, Epinesa comes, but the left tackle does not get off the line of scrimmage, so there's no way. He's outflanked. And it happens right there. So you see the left guard is already looking to Ed Oliver, but the left tackle got sugared by Terrell Bernard, thinking he has to squeeze down to Ed. And by the time he recognizes the guard is going to block Oliver and he has to go out and look at Epinesa, he's beat.
Why does the tight end, who is, I would imagine, somebody's, shades of Wedding Crashers hot route, why is the tight end not chipping on Epinesa, or at least taking 3 steps and stopping, right?
So the tight end actually does not have a hot route here because both linebackers bailed. So he'll stick with his regular route. So there's no reason for him to break this off. There's nothing that tells him that he needs to sit real quick for the quarterback. And this is a 4-man rush.
Right.
With a very interesting, sucker punch kind of alignment by the defense. We're sugaring this guy big time, and he took the bait. And by the time he recognizes that Terrell Bernard isn't coming and he owns Epinesa, it's too late.
What?
Now, if you look at that tight end, and he's looking at him,
right,
that's 2 steps, and Bernard's got a pick 6. So he doesn't have anywhere to go with that.
Yeah, the best part is that Aaron Rodgers is looking at Epinesa like run into his face mask.
Yeah.
Like,
again,
dip,
if
duck, dive, dodge, do something.
Hey, man, if the game happened in frame by frame speed, Aaron Rodgers could have run right up that center gap. But this thing happens in an instant. I'll frame it real quick, and I mean, he's already gone. I can't even press pause quick enough.
Right.
And look at Epinesa. He's a blur.
He is a blur. He's the only one. Well, the tight end is a blur, but yes, Epinesa is the only one up there that's a blur for sure.
So the reason I chose this play, because of last night, I thought for sure that the left guard that there was some sugaring going on. So when you see these guys stand up in the gaps inside the feet of the defensive tackles, they're trying to sugar these guys. And and the reason we say sugar is, like, you see ice cream, people come running, right? Dog in a butcher shop,
right.
Jump them, right? The 2 tackles were young. That's part of the game plan. Let's try and confuse those guys. On the snap of the ball, they bail. I mean, this is a great defense in this situation, because I think it's it's 2nd or 3rd and long. This is 2nd and 12, and we can do whatever we want defensively. We can rush 2, we can rush 4, we can rush 3, and sit back in coverage. And you, as an offense, man, you're like, I'm standing 6-7 yards deep in my end zone. Right. I'm going to get rid of this ball if I can. I don't care where it goes.
Gotcha. Very good.
I hope you enjoyed that, Sugar.
Next.
All right. 3rd play. Okay, this is really great. I had to bring this up because this is nod to James Cook. The Jets bring 6. We're in the 2nd quarter here, and this is big time blitz pickup by a running back. And the only other running back I've seen as a Buffalo Bill who will stick it up in there and go crazy like this is Thurman Thomas. I mean, that guy had no fear. And you are going to see dedication, urgency from James Cook on this play. James is on your right. Ball snapped. He flies across the formation, takes out the rushing either linebacker or defensive end.
Took out his legs.
This is big time. And now if you look at the defensive alignment, Joe, those guys on the tackles are actually defensive tackles. Okay. And then the defensive ends are wide. All right.
So this is a similar formation to what the Bills had in the last play.
I was hoping you'd say that, because it's not dissimilar, right? They're trying to confuse us. They want to put that one backer up there, make sure, hey, is McGovern going to go right, left? And what happens? Let's take a quick look here. We'll freeze it. But we're covered up. We are covered up. This is great. McGovern goes right. Linebacker bails. But the problem here, not the problem, maybe it's a design, but I wouldn't do it this way. we're sliding to the same side as the running back.
Right.
So typically the running back will block opposite the slide. So McGovern is going to his right. You would think it'd be wise to have James Cook lined up to Josh Allen's left. We didn't do that. And that distance that he has to close to get to there, that is big time. And there's another layer to this play. So the guards have a really big challenge on this, specifically Edwards. Slide is going away. You're one-on-one with a 4-eye technique. I don't know why they call it a 4-eye, Joe. He's on the inside shoulder of Deion Dawkins.
4-point stance. Is that why? No, I don't know.
No, that's not why. But when a guy is at distance like that from Edwards, the biggest thing the guards and the center have to do is keep the pocket close to the line of scrimmage. But this guy is in a position where you got to set him almost like a tackle. But he's a defensive tackle, so he wants to come midline on you. So the worst thing that can happen to Edwards here is he gets drift, he gets pushed. But it's so hard to do this because you do have to give a little bit of a tackle set, and then you're taking a guy who's got an extra 2.5 steps coming at you, rather than if he's in a 3 technique or a 2 technique head up, you can stab him straight off the ball. So Edwards does a hell of a job. Josh, with a 3-quarter throw here, completes this pass. It's all around just a really kick-ass play. So he gets a little pressure up the middle. Josh is winding up. Edwards is finally into his extension. I don't blame him because that guy had great width. Watch Josh's throw here. It's a half throw. Doesn't follow through. He almost back shoulders it right there. Catch.
On the money. On the money.
Yeah.
Almost as good as the one where he was falling down backwards and hit him. And the hit was a Shakir or he hit somebody in the hands. It's like, what is happening?
Yes. That's wicked good protection right there. That's wicked good protection. And I'll tell you, part of the reason Josh didn't take depth on that play is because he saw out of the corner of his eye the edge rusher coming. And the worst thing he could do to James Cook was give him a bad angle. But if Josh stays shallow in the pocket, James can get across him and body up that rusher. And if Josh drifts too deep, there's no way James passes in front of Josh and gets negative yards to block that guy.
Right. Good stuff.
I love doing this. I get so excited. I hope you guys in the chat are liking this. Come on now. All right. 4th play. We're in the 3rd quarter.
There were some hearts. I saw some hearts go up in the comments section, just so you know.
Oh, thanks, guys and gals. We're in the 3rd quarter now. The score is still only 12-0. Okay, we're on defense. It's a first down. We have more or less kind of a run blitz in this situation. But remember, we had just had to punt the ball because we were backed up super deep. The Jets have really great field position. And, this is a huge series. This is a chance for the Jets to get some momentum and to get down the field. All right. And I'm calling this play run fit. All right. Split zone. All right. Split zone, but let's go back to the alignment. All right. So here's the alignment. Looks like a normal alignment. You got the strong safety up on the tight end side. You got Terrell Bernard in the back, right? Everything's good to go. You got Epinesa outside the left tackle. They're going to run split zone here, which of course is a puller across. It's either a tackle or a wing. And the way Epinesa plays this is just perfect. The second part of this that you want to look for is you got a single high safety up near the back of the Buffalo, right? It's probably that's Taylor Rapp over there over the left tight end. So that's probably Cole Bishop up top. So that means we're probably man under. I'm going to just flip it right here. You get a motion guy. So you see the linebackers adjust. Matt Milano is on him. And now once that motion guy comes across the formation, that gives Terrell Bernard the latitude to actually step up into the line of scrimmage and let Matt Milano clear. But this is 1st and 10. We're expecting run. The game is close. Epinesa does an amazing job wrong shouldering the split zone puller. Back it up right to there. So here comes the split zone puller. He wrong shoulders it, which means he compresses the hole. Terrell Bernard on the right guard engages and sheds the guard. It's right here, number 76. He stouts him, sheds him, fills the hole. We got every gap covered here. And what's the end result? 2nd and 9. We hold him again. We get an interception. This is really strong defensive philosophy, rundown situation. The risk, Joe, as we all know, if we're up there crowding the line, it's drop back. We're man under. We got to be locked on.
Right. Super good. I don't have much to say. These are great plays, and they're well executed, and your descriptions of them are fantastic as well.
Right,
it's nice to see the energy and the action from this defensive line specifically, just because it feels like we haven't seen it in the last couple of weeks, right?
Yeah, maybe they just hate the green. I hate those jet screens. I'm going to run it one more time for our audience before we pull it down again. There's the trapper on split zone. He gets wrong armed. Epinessa's in on the tackle. Terrell Bernard. Epinesa stoutly sliding away, shrugging her shoulders, looking tough. I love it.
How is Matt Milano look yesterday? How did he look yesterday in your game study, in your film?
So I thought he looked really good. I mean, he fit really well. He moved really well. He had one play where he looked a little slow, but by and large, he is still the captain out there. He's still lining everybody up. I mean, the guy plays super smart football, so he rarely gets himself out of position.
Right.
Guys get beat, guys miss tackles here and there, but he looked pretty damn good. Better than the week before. And I think, he was out the previous week, right? So I think his game's coming up. I think it's getting better.
He played a little bit. Was he out last week? I thought he played a little bit and then sat with the groin.
A little bit and then ducked out.
Yeah, maybe.
All right, 5th play, 3rd quarter.
It might have been the week before that. He might have been out last week. I think he was out last week. Yeah.
Yep. Still 3rd quarter, still 12-0. And this is another run fit. And this is another interesting defensive alignment from a team that doesn't tend to do a lot. Jerry and I talk about this all the time. We're like at the bottom 20% of the league for blitz.
Right.
But I think when you bring a variety of looks and you react at the line of scrimmage to run, it looks like a run blitz. So let's go with play number 5. Let it bring it up. Let it run. Ed Oliver, 4-eye inside the left tackle. Little fake orbit motion. The tackle here, the left tackle cannot get a step on Ed Oliver. He can't get flat enough. They're running what is basically weak zone, Joe, to the right. So as you make the count from the center to the right, they have as many guys as we have. So you cannot block the left guard to Matt Milano and run a combination block back there, because then you're going to end up with one too many on the front side. So they basically decide to plus block this. Okay.
What does plus block mean?
Plus block means add to the play side.
Got it.
So the guard get a little.
And the play side, for everybody watching, my understanding is where the bulk of the people are, correct? That's the play side?
No, the play side is usually the direction you see on the snap of the ball. So the play side here is to the right.
Got it. Okay.
So they give chase, and what really strikes me,
like that always happens to the direction of the offensive line goes to where all the people are, though. It feels like those two coincide.
Well, you could riverside this, and in fact, that would probably be a smarter way to run this play. You could riverside this and have the wing block out on the defensive end and let Breece Hall try to beat probably Taron Johnson over on the right side.
Right.
The riverside means flip it. So we're going right. He gets up, goes riverside, and we run the same play in the opposite direction. But they really put the left tackle in a bind here because he's just not quick enough to handle Ed Oliver. Gotcha. I bring this up because it is a cool defensive look with a wide 4-eye technique. And we're stacking the box on 1st and 10. So typically I talk about offensive plays all the time. I like to give, fair shake to the defense.
Right, for sure. The thing that catches my eye is the dance move with Bernard and Milano right here when they're in sync. Ready? Let it play. And dink, dink. I'm a simpleton, John. I apologize.
No. I mean,
two men of one brain. Two men of one brain right there.
It's fair for you to say that because, early in training camp, they brought the Radio City Rockettes in just to help them with this choreography.
Literally the first thing that caught my ADD brain, and I couldn't let it go.
Sad man. And everybody wants to see it again. It's the Shavers tunnel screen TD. Yes. And the beauty of this is the offensive line release. Vandermark does a really cool job. He throws his hand up, begging for it to get swiped, just as a teaser. So he's sugaring the defensive end. The defensive end takes the bait. All the guys float out in space here. We get good blocking downfield. And these plays, I think you go back and you look for any one of these type of tunnel screen plays that goes for 30 or 40 plus. And there's such an expansion of the defense that typically what you see is rarely do people go untouched through the middle of the field. There's always some sort of a missed tackle or a guy getting late, just brushing a guy. And that's what happened here. And again, I'm going to run it. He gets slickered and snot.
It started in the middle of the play for us, or for me anyway. So
yeah, it did, because I can only get a 9-second play. And gotcha. There were parts of the play at the end that I want you to focus on. But look at Vandermark with his left hand up in the face of the defensive end. Yes. So that's like he's begging him to swat it. He's thinking this is a backup tackle. I got a chance. I can make a play. I know it's late in the game, but I want to get a nice contract coming up. And it's really hard to advance this thing. There we go. Frame by frame. Alec Anderson does a good job. His guy basically is mirroring Josh Allen, and he's not going anywhere. And he's got a rocket move going with his left leg right there for you, Joe. Yep. So what he does is he sticks. Vandermark's guy comes. This is the hardest block right now. Alec Anderson is on a guy who's more than slightly more athletic than him.
Right.
And he sticks. And this is a really hard block. But he sticks with him all the way down the field throughout the play. You can see this opens up. It gashes right here, and it's hard to freeze it with any degree of resolution.
Right.
Now Vandermark is leading up the hole. You got Cedric Van Pan Granger flying up through the middle too,
as Jerry likes to say.
Yep. You got our tight end Q Morris stuck on his block, and watch Mac Hollins stalk the corner.
Yep.
Everybody's sticking.
Matt Collins is holding a little bit. I can see them. I can see those shoulder pads.
What? Let's see it.
I can see those shoulder pads. There.
Whoa! You might have spun him around a little bit, Joe. Now watch everybody celebrating. That's why I kept this whole thing. And
then Max got the taunting penalty here too, though. So
listen, I'm gonna be honest with you. I love a good 60-yard touchdown run, 45 as much as the other guy. But the big fat guys running down the field with their arms in the air rather than swinging their arms, that's like 1.5 amount of work.
I listened back and watched your guys' show from yesterday, the post-game show, and you guys were joking it up just about the starters are going to sit, and you're like, I never got to sit. When was my chance? So my question is the backup linemen, offensive linemen are like losing their minds, and this is the greatest thing ever. We just got a 65-yard touchdown. Why is Spencer Brown the only starting offensive lineman that has to play at this point of the game?
Well, no, you got Torrance in here too.
Oh, you're right. That's right. He's right behind him. Gotcha.
Well, Joe,
so the right side of the line had to continue to play.
You got a 53-man roster. They probably dressed only 8.
I was being facetious.
Okay. All right. That's fair. Yeah. All right. Let's run it one more time because it's so beautiful. Eyes on Mac Hollins. Downfield, Vandermark. Oh, Mac. You know why nobody sees Mac? The guy is like a revenant. He's like a ghost. I mean, he's all over the internet, yet he's like a vapor. He's disappears.
He's probably got camouflage like undergear on. So
I love it. That was awesome.
That was a great play.
This was a great game to break down. And I urge anybody who, has the time, who can record a game, to go back and just start picking it apart a little bit, slow it down, do 5 plays in an hour or something like that. It really makes the game so much more fun to watch when you understand. And I'll give you another, I'll give you my rundown for the audience, anybody listening. When the offense lines up, there are a few things that I do very, very quickly before the ball is snapped. Number one, I look at the formation that the offense is in. It's either twins, trips, maybe we extra tight end. I'm looking for Alec Anderson in the Bills case because we use him a ton. I look at our alignment first.
Mm-hmm.
And then the next thing I do is I'm looking at the defense. Are they in 2 high safeties? Are they in press? Are they in 4-2? Are they in 4-3? And I'm generally looking at the alignment of the defensive tackles and defensive ends for width.
Right,
and once you start doing that often, you really get into a mode where when the ball is snapped, and this is the final clue, never look at the quarterback. Never look at the ball. Always look at the offensive and defensive line, because they're going to tell you right on the snap if it's run or pass, and they're also going to show you. You're not going to miss it. How the hell did that guy get in our backfield? Because you'll have seen it. Once you train your eyes to watch film, you can see it as it's happening when everybody else is going, that damn offensive line sucks.
I don't think that's what everybody says, but I'm sure there's some folks out there that do say that. But yes, fantastic, John. As we go into week 18, what is your expectation for this team as far as just plays and playing and yada yada yada?
Wow, I think until we see who's up and who's down on the active roster, it's going to dictate what I really think is going to happen. Obviously, 2 of our 5 starters are still going to have to play, if not 3 of them. I think you'll see some 4-3 if we can afford it in the linebacker position.
Interesting.
What we're going to do at safety is very interesting. I've heard Micah Hyde. I don't think so. I just don't think it makes sense to bring him in now when Cole Bishop's, getting those reps. I don't know, maybe DeMar Hamlin, you bring him in, to get him caught up to speed, right? Get him, so he's not stiff coming out a week after that. Offensively, I think you'll still see a heavy dose of Reggie Gilliam. I think that's smart. You may not see Alec Anderson at the tight end position because there's a chance he could be starting on this offensive line.
Right.
So it'll be pretty vanilla. Inside outside run. They might test some concepts with motion and alignment, but by and large, I think that as much as you want to win this game, the only goal of this game is to get Josh Allen that next start, which I think they will do.
Yeah, me too.
And not get embarrassed. Like we don't want to lose this one 30-7.
We don't want to win, because if the Patriots lose this game, they get the number 1 pick in the draft. So we want to figure out some way to have the Patriots win this game.
Well, Joe, first pick, second pick.
It matters.
You think it matters?
I think Bruce Smith was a first overall pick, right? I mean, come on.
Okay. Well, I mean, you probably have more fingers and toes than guys that were drafted in the first round that didn't play more than a year or 2.
You're probably right. So anyways, we'll see what happens. I'm going to get us out of here, John, if that's all right with you.
Man, I had a great time. This is fun.
Tomorrow is New Year's Eve. The On the Beat program, we will have Matt Perino on with us tomorrow. It'll probably drop around 12 or 1 o'clock in the afternoon and then be available for the rest of the day, because obviously going into New Year's Eve, I'm sure some people have plans that are younger than me. I don't have plans. I'll be asleep by probably 10 and then wake up with the new year. Wednesday, I would expect the Hump Day Hotline on Wednesday. Probably normal scheduled time, 8 o'clock with Jay Spence King and myself, and then Jerry Ostrowski for the Big O Show on Thursday, your first preview of the Buffalo Bills game against the New England Patriots. But John, any last final words before the new year?
Same as you. Happy New Year to everybody in Bills Mafia. Stay safe if you do have plans, and congratulations on an outstanding season. You guys did it. And go Bills.
Go Bills.